Hey, it's Kyle here, and today I'll be reviewing episode 3 of the Acolyte, Destiny. Just a warning, this review will include spoilers. If you haven't watched the episode yet, please go watch it first before you watch my review, because I'd hate to spoil anything for you. With that warning out of the way, let's talk about Destiny. And I guess before I really get started on our review on Destiny, I should mention for people that normally watch my reviews, I was actually on vacation last week when the Acolyte premiered, and I wasn't really going to film a review while I was on vacation at the beach. So that's why there was not a review of episode 1 and 2, but I should say I enjoyed them a lot. I'm a huge High Republic fan, so I was very excited for this series, and nothing in the first 2 episodes disappointed me, and I was very excited to see where it led. I think it did a great job of setting up the series. I was very happy with Destiny specifically. Obviously, I think when the first 2 episodes, we all had a feeling based on what we've seen in the trailer and just how the first episodes went, that there was probably going to be some flashbacks throughout the rest of this season. And I was kind of worried that we were just going to get scattered flashbacks in certain episodes and kind of chop it up that way. And I was kind of hoping what did happen, that we'd get one episode that was basically a complete flashback. So we'd kind of learn everything right away and not have to kind of get it doled out to us in small little bits throughout the entire season. So very happy that this was a flashback episode, which was basically set 16 years before the events of episodes 1 and 2. So we are on May and Osha's home planet, and we find them in a community of witches. They're in a coven that we don't know a whole lot of their background and what if they have a more official name, but clearly something that happened at some point in their past, and seems like they were accused of being dark side users of the Force, and they were kind of forced to go into hiding from, I'm not sure if it's just the Jedi or the Jedi specifically, but that's how they found their way to this planet, and they're very much trying to stay secret. So they get very worried when Osha sneaks away from their community and goes out into the woods. I think they're very worried that she'll be spotted. Apparently they are aware that there are some Jedi on the planet. It seems like the Jedi are probably looking for them. So it's kind of interesting to learn a little bit more about the backstory between the Jedi and this group of witches. But as we get more into learning more about the witches, we get to see a lot of the interaction between Osha and her sister May. And we learn that they're kind of getting ready for a coming-of-age ceremony. So this coming-of-age ceremony, which is called the Ascension, basically, it seems like to mark their full commitment to joining the coven and becoming these force-wielding witches. May is very excited about this. She's all in. Osha is not so much, and seems like she kind of wants to differentiate her some way from her sister. I think she just kind of wants to chart her own path. So there's clearly a lot of tension between these 2 twin sisters, which I found very interesting throughout this episode. Then we get to the ceremony, and very cool. All the rituals for this coven I found very interesting. Very unique. We definitely haven't seen anything like this in live action Star Wars before. I mean, the closest thing would definitely be the Night Sisters and the animated content and some that we've seen in Ahsoka, but this is definitely probably this is the biggest ritual for regard to witches I think that we've seen in live action Star Wars before. The ceremony, like I said, was very cool. They complete it for May, and she's brought into the coven, but as they're fixing to do it for Osha, that's when the Jedi arrive. And that's where there's a lot of interesting inner conflict between these 2 groups. That, the Jedi mentioned it at some point that, there seems to be a rule against other Force groups raising kids. I'm not sure what's all going on there. I'm not sure if it's just dark side users, or if it's got to the point where like the Republic is only recognizing the Jedi as having the ability to raise children to use the Force. If that's the case, that's a big difference from earlier stories that we see in the High Republic era, where we see various Force-using groups gathering on Jedha and kind of working together and trying to come to, I guess, a common understanding and avoiding conflict between the various Force-using groups. So if it's reached this point in Acolyte, obviously a lot of things have changed in the 100 or so years from when the books took place to when this series has took place. There definitely seems to be a different attitude amongst the Jedi regarding to other Force users. I did find it kind of fascinating. You have the Jedi that kind of seem to be very not too impressed with witches. At the same time, the witches, when the Jedi are coming up, are, accusing them of being like, these weird monks and stuff like that. So both groups definitely maybe not coming off the best in this regard. Definitely both are discriminating a little bit against the other Force using groups and kind of like, our way is the only right way. One part I found interesting when we're dealing with May and Osha is their mom and the other witches seem to be perfectly okay with they're old enough to choose to join our group, but when the same thing comes up about the Jedi showing up and the Jedi wanting to test these twins to see if they have Force capabilities and should be offered the chance to join the Jedi, it's like, well, they're too young to make that decision. A very interesting kind of double standard that was kind of presented there. So definitely both groups are not coming off the best in this regard. Osha basically comes forward and says, I want to be tested, I want to become a Jedi. So their mother and kind of the leader of this coven basically agrees, I'll let my twins be tested. But they kind of develop a plan. She basically tells her two twins to lie during the test so they'll fail them, so the Jedi will leave them alone. May goes along with this because she wants to be part of the coven. She has no desire to join the Jedi. Osha initially goes along with it, but her heart's clearly not into it, and the Jedi quickly figure it out and convince her to truly take the test, and she passes. So they come back to see their mom and the rest of the coven, and Osha basically confesses to this to her mom, and her mom has come to grips, all right, if you really want to be a Jedi, maybe that'll be the path for you, but I have to talk to the rest of my coven. May is furious about this. And so we basically then see May start a fire to basically prevent Osha from leaving. And she basically says, I'd rather kill you than you join the Jedi. And we see, May seemingly fall to her death. So you definitely understand why the Jedi thought she was dead. What we don't see is when we come out, we see all the witches are dead and they're just laying on the ground. And it doesn't really look like they've died by fire, and there's no really debris by them. So clearly we've seen this flashback from, Osha's point of view. There's clearly something else happened. The Jedi basically play it off, when Osha wakes up on their ship, the fire killed everybody. The fire May started, killed everybody. But there's definitely something going on with the Jedi, and I think from the first two episodes we understand the Jedi have a lot of guilt over this event. So I'm very interested to see when we'll see a flashback from the Jedi's point of view of what really happened with the witches and what led to their deaths. Clearly, May was having some sort of mental break there over the fear of her twin leaving her, and she definitely started the fire. But that fire did not kill the rest of the coven. So it'll be very interesting to see what led to, I'm assuming, the conflict between the Jedi and this coven to result in all the witches dying. Did the Jedi just strike first? Did the witches try to prevent them from coming in to take Osha? What happened? It'll be very interesting to see. But obviously the Jedi, at least some of them, definitely blame themselves for, going into hiding, committing suicide when offering the chance rather than confessing what they did to the council. So we definitely learned a lot in this episode, but at the same time, like a good episode in the middle of a series, it definitely teases you with more now I want to know more. So I'm very glad we got background between Osha and May. I'm very excited or interested or intrigued to learn more about this conflict between the Jedi and the Coven, and what led to all the witches dying. Maybe a little bit more background on this group too. I'll be very interested to see where this progresses in the next episode. I'm not sure if we'll get another solely flashback episode or if we'll go back into the present day. If I had to guess, I think we're going to go back into the present day and maybe have another flashback at a later time. But really enjoyed Destiny. So in the comment section below, let me know, what did you think about Destiny and what have you thought about the Acolyte so far? If you enjoyed this review, please hit that like button. If you have yet, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate the support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you the next time, and may the Force be with you.